Welcome to the first episode of Stick to Fitness. So you might know our counterpart Stick to Football from our mates Gary Neville, Cara, Kino, but unfortunately the boys couldn't be with us today, so we're left to do this on our own. We're going to be covering all things fitness, not just training and nutrition, but everything going on around the fitness bubble. So if you like that stuff, keep listening, subscribe. And if you're not, well, still subscribe because Nev and the boys will be talking about football at some point. Right. So today's topic for discussion: should filming be allowed in gyms? What do you reckon?
I think yes and no, but I'm going to say no because when you're trying to train and there's different aspects to it where you want to be moving around the gym, or when you're bumping into a tripod, it is quite frustrating. I know, having spoken to a lot of people about this topic, the conclusion that we came to was that there should be like a certain time spot for if you do want to film, then you can film between the hours of whatever, 5 till 6 when it's not as busy or when it's not peak times in the gym. I think, however, though, if you're doing a big lift, the more cameras, the better.
It's a mad one, right? Because was it gyms like Strength Asylum? They just straight up banned them. They just like said one. I can't remember what day it was, but they just like, nah, we're not having it. We've just had enough.
I think it does depend on the environment. If you're going to a gym like Ultraflex, where filming is just, it's part and parcel. If you're not filming, it's seen as like, well, this guy's not filming his lifts. Like, what's he doing? But I think if you're going to those commercial gyms or a gym where filming and making content is not something that's quite in the forefront of people's minds when they're training, it can be quite a intimidating thing, especially if you're like, oh, I'm going to be in the background of this guy's video, or I don't really want to be in the background when someone's filming. But I think from a client's point of view, it is important as well, though, because they need to be able to show your coach your lifts and you can analyse the technique and things like that. But my conclusion, and from speaking to people, like I said, is that there should be a certain time frame where people are allowed to film within the gym.
Yeah, I mean, people ban stuff when it gets out of hand, right? Yeah. So that's probably why. I don't know what the experience was there. But
I mean, if you're talking about cameras and stuff, I mean, you could just ban phones as well within the gym, because the amount of times you see people just sat on a machine and it's like, you know, I looked over, I've seen people in the gym playing like Candy Crush and like one of these medieval games, and it's just like
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. And like, you know, you're waiting for the machine, the guy's like, no, I've got 4 sets left. Yeah. And then they're just in between, they're just on their phone playing different games or scrolling Twitter or scrolling Instagram. And it's like, you know, you could get to that point where it's like no phones are allowed.
But then what's the bigger problem? Is it the actual filming, or is it that there's like these massive tripods in the gym? Like, is it the filming or is it the tripods?
I think the tripods is a big factor. When you see, like, you know, if you're going to come into the gym with all different types of cameras and a videographer and stuff, I think that is less invasive than a tripod in the middle of the walkway filming your lift, that sort of thing. And I'm a big advocate of, if you're going to be filming it, then make it like sort of worthwhile. So I know everyone's worthwhile is going to be different, but you know, if you're deadlifting like 2 plates or something, like, come on, man, you don't need to be videoing that.
But then it might be that 2 plates might be really like, it might be big for this one person. Like, this person might be 20 kilos.
Yeah.
Might be 20 kilos.
Obviously, everything's relative, but you know, people are really going to be wanting to post a 2-plate deadlift online for their people to see. You know, you want to be seeing the top end of the deadlifts. The 7 plates. Yeah, of course, people don't really want to be seeing that.
So there's a strength requirement for video.
Definitely. Because you have to, it's like anything, you know, you have to warrant to being able to do that. And yes, progress is progress.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be setting up a whole tripod for that. Just prop it up against your water bottle, ask someone to video it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I agree with some of the stuff, but it is getting a little bit out of hand. Like, there are loads of tripods and whatnot around the floor. And, you know, the whole scenario where, you know, people are posting those, I don't know if you've ever seen those, like, kind of like work videos of women, like they're recording themselves, and then maybe there's some guy in the back. I watched this video on TikTok, and one guy was he was just like playing around on his phone, and I think she thought that he was recording her. And then she posted this video like, hey, look at this guy, you know, recording me in the background. Just
I think I saw that. I think I saw it as well. Yeah.
So you got stuff like that, right? And I don't know, I guess, some people, again, they may not necessarily want to be in the back of your video. Like, you know, they might be, I don't know, skipping work to go train. And, you know, their boss their boss follows Sam Sulek or something, you know, and then they see Jill in the gym training arm day with him. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think it is a difficult one, and I understand for people that create content, that is their job, is to go into the gym and create content to post and, you know, earn a living from. But I think people can be quite selfish with that, whereas, like you said, people in the background, or if it's gonna interfere with other people's workout or them moving around the gym or making people feel uncomfortable, then I don't think it's something that should be, you know, something that's encouraged. I think a set time would be something that is quite useful. I know as someone who's, you know, started trying to film workouts and stuff, I'm very conscious of how many people are around, what time am I going, because I don't want it to interfere with what anyone else is doing. And, you know, setting up the tripod and having it up, you know, I tried to have it on the lowest setting possible, so it's at least like the most least invasive setting, rather than have it on, so it's 6 feet tall, got to, you know, iPhone and your camera getting different angles, then you're trying to sync it all together. And I think for some people are doing it for the gram, so you're just putting something out there for the sake of putting something out to show people, oh look, I went to the gym today. But setting up the camera and filming the content was the main part of your workout, and not actually then. So I think for some people it does actually hinder their training. It takes away from their training because they're so focused on getting a content and staging it. I've seen people stage their content where it's like you're not actually doing legs, but you're recording one set and then going on to your next exercise to make it look like that you train legs when you haven't. So
the other side is, you know, with the whole clutter, right? There's so I've never really trained with like a disabled person in the gym, but we've got a disabled guy in the gym, and he's in a wheelchair, so it's hard for him to get around. So if he's listening, hold tight him. Respect.
I'm sure he is listening.
But like the gym floor is just full of shit. Like people just leave plates, leave stuff around, and it's only when you have a member like that you realize actually this is really difficult for this person. So, you know, if there's tripods and stuff, you know, around, which, you know, ultimately there shouldn't be, I think it becomes very difficult for certain people to be able to navigate. And, you know, it does become a little bit of a safety kind of hazard.
Well, I think as well, if you're someone who's new to the gym environment and you've never stepped foot into a gym, and the first thing you see when you walk in is like all these cameras and all these different sets of tripods, I think that can be quite off-putting for people. So I think being mindful of how it's going to affect, and even as like, if you're someone who's a gym owner, being mindful of the fact where it's like, you're going to allow people to film, but I don't see many rules around filming.
Yeah, so how do you navigate around that? Because, you know, we were talking about people being in the background, but if you record and people aren't in the background, or if you ask for consent, is that okay? You know,
well, I was going to ask you, you're someone who films, you know, in the gym quite a lot. If someone saw one of your videos online and messaged you or came up to you and said, "Excuse me, I was in the background of, you know, one of your viral clips, for example. I want you to take that down." What would your response be?
Probably take it down. You
would take it down?
Probably, yeah.
Well, you're a good guy, though. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that be like, "Nah, I'm not taking it down. Sorry."
Yeah. I think, so when I record in the gym and just my personal, I try to do it sort of wait until somebody's not in frame, right? And, you know, everyone's always like, oh, you know, they don't like the big cameras in the gym, right? So if people ban cameras, it's always like, oh, we don't want you to have, you know, these massive cameras. But I actually think the massive cameras are the one, because you can get these lenses which have like a low f-stop. So what that happens when you record with that, it actually blurs the background out. Okay. So you have that separation. So then if you're recording something and someone steps in the background from like far and you can kind of see them, you can't really see their face. So in some ways, perhaps, you know, a higher, a better camera or something like that, a better lens could potentially, you know, block someone out of being in the background, right? But again, it just depends if it is like a privacy thing, is it just like a clutter, is it a combination? Yeah,
I can only see it. I don't see it getting any worse, if that makes sense. I can only see it. I think we're at the point now where it's like we've got videographers that are coming into the gym. They got several cameras. They got a whole crew set up. Unless, you know, you're someone who's going to book out a section of the gym or book out the whole facility, which I know people do for like photo shoots, where they might come before it's open or something like that. But I just think people need to be more mindful of not everyone is interested in what you're filming at that moment when you're in the gym. And like I said, if your content is your thing, I understand it. But I just think if we're trying to get more people into fitness and be more active as a population, I think cameras and things like that is something that could hinder that.
I think, you were talking about having specific, I guess, business hours, right, for people to record content. But if we think about that's pretty mad, because if you think about anybody else, so let's say like food bloggers, right, and stuff like that you watch, they film in restaurants all the time, but they don't have to have business hours, or, they don't have to wait until the restaurant's completely closed to make that food content. I mean, sometimes they do, if they've been invited down by the owner to be like, hey, try this, or we're giving you an invite to eat at our restaurant, you can record, and they may do it before the shop opens, right? But I think there is a lot of food vloggers who just kind of go to place to place to place, and some people, they film outside, which is respectful, but then there's also other people I know that they just record inside.
They just turn up, film themselves, and then...
Is that the same? Like, should they also have, business hours?
I think food is a little bit different, because it's a sense of you'll literally just prop the camera up or your phone or whatever, and you're focusing solely on yourself and you having and eating that content. I don't think many people would be if they walked into like a restaurant and someone was filming, I don't think they would even like sort of bat an eyelid, if that makes sense. And I don't think it's as frequent. So if you went into that restaurant Monday to Friday, you might only see one person filming. If you went to the gym Monday to Friday, you could have upwards of 50 members maybe filming across the week.
For sure.
So I think the frequency of something like that is a little bit different.
Why is it that if you saw someone do that in the restaurant, you wouldn't bat an eyelid, but in the gym, it's like people don't like
because
that?
Because I think with food, you're reviewing someone else's work.
Right.
Whereas if you're filming yourself, it's almost like that is a critique, maybe a critique for yourself, or it's like, I'm going to lift this to show the world that this is what I can do. So doing something with food, and you walk in, you're like, oh well.
So
if you came in and then was started like videoing me on the slide, be like, hey, look at this joker doing this lift sort of thing. No, because you're going to use it to be horrible. If you're going to do it in the case of where it's like, I'm going to record my experience of the gym.
Oh, okay.
I'm like a gym review person.
Right.
Then that for me would be a little bit different.
Oh, wow, okay. So more context and more rules. Okay. I think, I think it's difficult, right? It's, is it that because in a restaurant, I still see like, I've never seen a food vlogger, but when
that tells you everything.
I've not seen one in the wild. But if my wife watches a lot, right, of food content, and there's this lady that she watches, and sometimes when you can see in the mirror in the background like what's going on, how they're recording it. She's got like a tripod, that's like standing in front of her table, and it's like, well, if people want to get through, it's like it's still blocking the way. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's because it's so grey. It's a public place, and it's very difficult.
What, the gym?
Yeah, well, everywhere. It's just.
I don't think the gym's a public place because.
Is it not?
Well, you're paying for a membership. You're paying to be there. It's not. You're not going to get people just walking in and out at any point.
But you're still paying to be at the restaurant, right? You can't.
Definitely.
You can't just chill in there.
Well, I mean, you could. You might just have a glass of tap water.
Okay. But most businesses are not going to let you do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hear. Like I said, I hear what you're saying. Just if the purpose of the videoing in the gym is the thing that, if someone was like, excuse me, everyone, I need to film what I'm doing because I'm going to send it to my coach because they need to analyse what I'm doing because I don't feel like I'm executing my movements correctly. I got no issue with that. When you're just filming something for the sake of filming it, and I've seen you do that same thing each week, it's a bit like, oh, come on now, something has to be different here.
But maybe that person wants to see how they're progressing, how their form is. So we don't know what.
But do you need video evidence of that?
They might.
What about your logbook? You could just look at it from that point of view.
I don't know. Maybe they're hands. They don't want to write anything. They have a book.
No, I do think, like I said at the start, I understand why people do it, but I think more consideration is needed for the average person, because I think, like I said, unless you're going to a specific gym, Ultraflex or somewhere like that, if you're going to any other sort of gym, most people aren't there to be in the background of content, make content. You know, most people, I would say, I don't know what you think, most people aren't bothered about how they lift or execute movements. They're just there to train, to say, oh,
should they be?
Should they be?
Should they be concerned about how they're lifting?
I think it depends on what your goal is.
Yeah. But like, if you're like, your goal is to injure yourself, then maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't, right?
No, but if you're someone who just, for your own sanity, is like, I just need to say that I've been to the gym today.
Yeah.
Whether that's half an hour, 45 minutes. I need to walk through the door. Whether I get up to the point of physical exertion or anything like that, that's up to you, and that's up to them. But for them to be like to their friends or whatever, or to justify them going out on the weekend, or justify having a meal in the evening, is like, yeah, I went to the gym today. Yeah. What I did in there is irrelevant, but I went. I tried.
I mean, they potentially would enjoy it more if they saw more progress, if that makes sense. So if you're always going to come to a phase where, you know, if you don't have a care or you don't look at yourself training, you're not going to know what mistakes, and then you just continue to get injured, and then you can't go into the gym anymore, right? So then filming yourself and actually having a look and being like, oh, that's
yeah. But I think having that, like, filming yourself, then you reviewing it is one thing. But if you're reviewing and looking and think, oh yeah, that was great. Like if you're recording a lat pull down and you're swinging back and forth and doing this, then you look at it and think, oh yeah, good set. What's the point is recording it then? Because if you're not going to send it to anyone or ask for any feedback or opinion from people, and every time you film yourself, you're still rocking like this, doing it, then what's the point? I mean, there has to be a purpose. If you're going to go into the gym to film, I think you have to have planned what you're going to do, and the why behind why you're doing it is really important. Because filming for the sake of filming, you know, it's not conducive to anything productive, like you said. So
yeah, but then, you know, if all the filming is banned, how do we watch Sam Sulek? You know, he's got
to go to Alpha Lab with Christian Guzman.
Can't watch them. What about, you know, all those bodybuilding documentaries of like Phil Heath and, you know, Pumping Iron?
But again, I think
existing.
You know, because going back to my original, if you're Phil Heath, you know, bring the whole cinema. Like, you might as well just do whatever. Because
what about all the fitness girls? Well, like, you know, there's the ones that are showing off their butt. There's maybe one chica, she's in Australia doing her thing, and we're in the UK. We can't see that if we banned.
Yeah, but you know, she can go do that elsewhere. Down in Australia, get on the beach.
But we want to see the quality gym content of her not facing the camera.
I think there's very little gym content coming out of people that post stuff like that on social media. Save your content for OnlyFans.
And here's something that I pulled from social media. It was Coach Chasm who actually said that. He said that it could potentially, if there was more rules based around the whole recording, it could increase the barrier of entry for content creation. So what do you think about that? So maybe because there's rules behind it and there's more restrictions, not anybody can just make random fitness content and just post it. So then that sea of information becomes a lot less. So there becomes almost less bad content, fitness content, and then perhaps more, it's easier to find the good content.
Well, that's what you want though, isn't it? You want to, if you're going to go online to look for how to conduct an exercise or how to diet or how to grow muscle or whatever, you want to go to the best place possible. You want to go to a Jeff Nippard or something like that. His videos, not random guy in the gym who...
But that's the stuff that we see now, right?
But that's all you see.
It's all on TikTok. It's all on, you know, Instagram. It's quick, right?
That's all you see. So it's been flooded with not bad advice, but
general
what people think is the right way to do things. And obviously, you're going to do whatever works best for yourself. But for most people, what they need is to be going to the best place possible for that information and sourcing that information, and not be lazy and just follow the first thing that they see.
But the thing is with that is, even if you put a ban like to filming in the gyms or there's a specific timing or whatnot, I think yes, it does make it harder, but people still going to make bad content no matter what, right? You don't need to be in the gym.
People still in Hollywood making bad movies.
Yeah.
So, but I think filtering it down and, like I said, limiting the access, or even like if the gym owner says, like, if I was a gym owner and I saw some guy coming into my gym making rubbish, I'd say you are banned from making content because your content is not helping. It's not helping the industry. It's not helping people. So, go find another gym.
But what if he's not actually filming fitness content, but he's just filming in the gym, but he's talking about, I don't know, his life. Like Sam Sulek, he's just talking about life, right? He's not just talking about training.
I've never watched Sam Sulek.
I've never watched him either.
No, but going back to like the original, like a Chris Jones or a Christian Guzman or something.
Yeah.
At least the information that they're trying to put out is something that's productive, and then the lifestyle stuff kind of comes with it afterwards. But if you want proper training content, then there are people out there that provide that. And, like I said, I'm a big fan of Jeff Nippon. And I don't see his content as ever being invasive of other people's privacy or anything like that.
I don't really quite remember. I think, does he just record in the gyms? Like a public gym?
It's a mix. I think as he's got bigger, he's kind of, a lot of the things that I've seen from him, it looks like he's in his own sort of studio, if you like, or wherever he's doing his stuff. But his original stuff, he's in the gym, but I don't know, he comes across as someone who would be quite, the thought process behind what he's doing, he would think about how's this going to affect other people.
I think in terms of the content creator standpoint, I would happily pay some money to be in a designated time like slot, because sometimes it is difficult to film stuff if perhaps people are in the background, you're waiting for them and you don't want to disturb them, right? So if there was a designated slot where it is like, it's tripod time.
There you go, get that trademark.
Yeah, it's tripod time, right? Everyone knows, like, okay, everyone coming in has got mad tripods, right?
Yeah, it's like, you got a young daughter. I've got a baby on the way. You can go to the cinema when it's like baby time, 9 till whatever. But when you go there, everyone's gonna have a baby. Yeah. So you can't complain about the baby crying and then your baby starts crying. So something like that.
That's wild though. I haven't been yet, but I've seen people that have gone to that baby time.
Yeah, I don't know.
People, I think you can just change the baby like in the row in the seat.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
mad.
Yeah, but
they've got subtitles as well.
But you're going for that specific reason.
Yeah,
and you know what you're going to get when you turn up. If you have a massive session, if you've got a big session plan for yourself, and then you turn up and it's like, well, you're having to wait longer because, the guy who's recording or the girl that's recording did their set, watched it back, hang on, the angle wasn't great, now I've got to redo it. Or they watch it back again, like, maybe I can do another plate, let me add like another to make the video better for the viewer. And it just adds time into your workout because you're having to wait around for other people.
How do you think gyms would look at implementing that?
What tripod time?
Tripod time, yeah. Hashtag it.
I think it depends on the location of the gym.
Really?
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because
obviously everyone trains at different times, and everyone's day is different, completely different, and it depends on whether you're doing it full time or you work a full time job as well, and you can only do it in the evening, but then the evening's the peak times, and you can only do it between 1 and 3 p.m. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I go to gym very late anyway, so there's not really that many people. Like yesterday, I was in there at 11 p.m. right when I was messaging you, and but because it's Ramadan at the moment, people are fasting.
Yeah,
so
quite a few people.
It's still quite a few people. I was just thinking at the moment, like, I wonder if everyone thinks I'm fasting. So I've got an excuse that I'm tired and I'm weak and I can't lift this. So people might think I'm fasting.
Normally he's lifting a little bit more than that.
I must be fasting. But
little do they know you've been carb loading for the whole day and you're fully hydrated.
It's just weak.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, because I think those 24-hour gyms it's actually a really good hack. Like if you want to create content, like because it's close for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I would go late. It's empty. Like, a few times I've been, and there's like only a few, like maybe one or two people. The gym's massive, so you can do ultimately what you like. It's
But
like
would
your own
you,
gym.
as you know, you're quite a serious trainer, so would you
Serious, yeah.
well, semi-serious? Would you potentially look at training at a certain time and going back?
Yeah, that's
later,
what. That's
later
what
to go and film different types of content that wasn't training based, for example.
If there was something I think that I specifically wanted to film, and I had planned it, let's say, I don't do it for this reason, right? When people are talking to the mic in the gym, I would probably do that really late because, in terms of audio quality, in terms of just, like, no one does these takes in one shot, right?
Yeah, never.
Do it over and over again.
It's never one take.
Right? It could be a 20-second video, you've done like 100 takes.
Yeah.
Right?
Been there.
So it's because of that, it's like maybe just going at like crazy times where people aren't really in the gym, is kind of the best timings. I think like anything, it's being respectful, right? I don't necessarily think it's the thing itself. It's the people doing the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know what the answer is in terms of how to figure it out. Obviously, this is like a first world problem, right?
The massive first world problem.
But
at the end of the day, is it really that big of a deal? No, but I can see why people are not big fans of it. Because for a lot of people, it's new as well. Because it's not something. The whole vlogging sense is still relatively new. I think for like our generation and above, it's still relatively new. I think with the kids coming up now, everything is vlogged. So,
but some people, very private people, like they don't want any like. If you put on social media, don't post anything, or if they're posting pictures of their kid, they want to blur out their faces. There's all that kind of stuff. So I can understand if maybe we don't see it as such a big issue, but some people might not want other people to know that I train here, or I live around this area. Those kind of things. So I think it's very difficult. You have to, when it's something that's open like that, you have to be very just self-aware of or aware of other people around you. I think try your best to obviously not get people in, make the kind of decisions and choices so that you can minimize that kind of risk, right? And minimize the people that potentially will be in the video.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good summary.
Yes. So to close this episode up, should filming be allowed in the gym? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say yes, I think, but I think there needs to be certain rules around it.
Well, I think no, but if you're doing it before it opens, or when there's no one around, or you've hired a studio or something like that, then fill your boots.
There you go. So if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. And you can find me at Gym With Him on Instagram. And my co-host Archie is at Archie13 with 2 E's. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.